Okay, you take your Allium tuberosum and you take a half blade. Now, I have to show you how these were made. These are classic style double-edged razor blades, all right? If you had to make this yourself, you basically fold it like that and it clicks, it breaks.
Why can't we use scalpel?
We don't have scalpels that are this sharp, all right? Yeah, honestly, we have some which you use in the hard dissection. Cutter's not sharp enough, actually. So you do it like that, and then you pick up the non-sharpened side, all right? And we have some made for you already in here, all right? So just be careful with that. A little bit of a cutting hazard there, but these are fine, okay? We use them for decades with no issues, all right? Okay, you take one of your alliums and top it off, and there's your friend's snack. Outside the lab. You got food in the lab. Never mind. All right, and then you can kind of carefully remove the outer petals. All right, it doesn't have to be that careful because you'll see as soon as I open that, there's a lot of flowerets in there. Flowerette sounds so pretty, doesn't it? Okay, but actually the flower you see is just a collection. It's a compound flower, and there's a bunch of tiny mini flowers in there. Take out one of those. Oh, all right. Take out one of those, and you can give this to the rest of your table. Really don't need that much vegetable because in one of those you've got like 6 or 8 flowerets anyway. So, oh, I actually got 2. I didn't even mean that. I got 2 of them. And you may want to start working with the dissecting microscope at this point. It's up to you. Now, yesterday, almost everybody in section 1 tried to do it without the dissecting microscope, and they were okay. But I don't know. If I was taking more time with this, I would use the dissecting microscope because you can see better. It's pretty small, right? So you have it on there, and you might want to use some forceps to hold it. And then use your blade. Try to remove the next layer. We have needles, mounted needles, which you can also use to pick off the outer layer. That white part is not the anther. Now when I open that up, maybe you can see some little green pieces. Okay, there's little green rice grains in there. Can you see it? Can you guys see over there? There's little tiny green rice grains on the white stuff. Those green things are your anthers. See the green things in the white? That's what you need to pick out. You guys see it? The little tiny green things like rice grains. They're very small, and you might want to do it under the dissecting microscope. Use your needle, it's probably best, and try to take out as many of them as you can. You're going to be smashing them later, so if you damage it a little bit, it doesn't really matter much. You might want to have a drop of liquid here to put them in. There's many different ways to do this procedure, actually. This is when it's a little bit frustrating. Okay, there's one. Okay. Now I really do want some vibranium eyes. Superman eyes. There's one. Okay, so I seem to have got 3 here. I think there's still one more in there. What I suggest is you get at least 8 or so. Maybe take 2 anthers, get at least 8, and then keep a few spare to run the process again. There's another one. You really don't want this outer skin. Okay, if you have the outer skin in there too much, it makes it hard to see your chromosomes. Ah, there's one. Okay. Lekmont, exactly. Okay, here's another one. All right, I think I got them all in that flowerette. Okay. Okay, you guys in the back, you see what I extracted there? All right. Can't see. All right. Okay, so those are your anthers. Those are actually anthers. Now I'm going to tell you now, an anther is basically a kind of a tube, and the pollen grains grow from mother cells, which are the inside lining of that tube. The outside is more or less structural. That's the green part you see. So what you got to do is open up somehow or take the mother cells out from the inside of those tubes. How can we do that? Okay, magic, yes. All right. Vibranium eyes, yes. Yeah, take them to Wakanda and you'll be all right. All right, well, at this point, it's actually pretty easy, all right? First, what you want to do is fix the cells, especially fix the chromosomes. So we're not using heat this week, we're using HCl, very weak HCl. Put the HCl on there. And this is where you could actually try two different sets. Do one set for about a minute and another set maybe for 2 or 3 minutes. The fixing process, if the anthers are thicker and older, you want to fix them a little bit longer. Now I picked out 2 flowers over there that are particularly older, and I'm going to suggest you try those second. All right, use the younger ones first for about a minute. And I wasn't really timing that, but I'm estimating right now, about a minute. Let the acid fix the chromosomes, and then you can use a bit of tissue. Take them out, take out the acid. Oops, I picked up one of my anthers. If any of you have particularly sharp fingernails, you might be able to do this. No? All right. Okay, you don't have to get all the acid up. The next step is actually going to be staining them. Now this is the stain, it's acetylcarmine made with acetic acid. All right, so the whole process here is actually working at a low pH. Acetic acid plus carmine. And carmine, you're going to see it in the microscope later. Oops, sorry, that was bad. Bad technique. Okay, I'm going to keep that in there. Now you have to wait a while. What does the procedure say? Procedure. Cut and squeeze procedure. How long do we wait? Heat gently there. This one. Leave for about 2 minutes.
Yeah.
All right. You're supposed to leave it for about 2 minutes. Then you take a cover slip. I didn't wait long enough, all right? I'm just faking this a little bit to speed things up so you can get going. All right, take one cover slip out. Okay, you could actually wait longer at this point if you wanted to. But after you feel like you waited long enough, tap the cover slip with an eraser or one of these. I'm kind of trying to pat it a little bit so I don't break the cover slip. That's too big. Get a smaller chunk of tissue here. You know, tap it to break open the anthers and squeeze them. Now, if you are really doing the cut and squeeze technique on there, you actually want to cut open the anthers with the razor blade. Yeah, cut them with the razor blade in half. lengthwise or crosswise. It doesn't matter.
So
All right.
cut using this.
I'm not doing that because, okay, I'm going to blame my fingers. They're too big. You guys have small fingers, right?
That's so small.
You can try, all right? But you're actually supposed to cut the anthers. Now, people do this with much bigger flowers that have bigger anthers. These anthers are about as small as you're ever going to see. But you can try cutting them, or just do what I'm doing, which is simply to crush them, squash them a little bit, as best you can. It's kind of messy, obviously. I just don't want to break the cover slip, because the cover slip's going to be on there for the rest of this process. Use some force.
So
You can do that with an eraser by tapping if you want to, but these are kind of more substantial than the animals last week. Ostracods, yeah.
Look for ostracod that die for science.
Yeah, you learned a lot. Okay, now I'm going to put some more dye in there, stain in there. You'll see why in a moment. Try to get it all nice and wet underneath. Okay. You don't need that much. I'm just trying to make sure the part under the cover slip is completely saturated. Oh, bad teacher. Okay, don't do that. All right, so now ready to heat it. All right, and I'm not going to do that step. It's almost like last week. You have your alcohol burner. Heat it until almost boiling.
Boil.
In and out, more than last week.
Are we gonna,
All right.
Are we gonna have?
If you cook it completely, you've got roasted onion. You don't have good chromosomes, you have roasted onion.
So
All right.
are we gonna barbecue the cell again?
Barbecue, yeah, but all you're doing is cooking it to drive the carmine stain into where the chromosomes are more effectively. All right. You do that after crushing because presumably right now a lot of the mother cells are exposed. Mother cells and pre-daughter cells are exposed. Okay, meiotic cells. But you do have to heat it up a fair amount. All right, so it may take more than one time.
How do we know?
If it's not boiling yet, but almost boiling, you'll see a little bit of steam under the cover slip, or it's going to start drying out on the edges here. Right? So if you see it drying out, you know you're kind of there. If it really boils, it probably ruined it. All right, so try not to boil it. In and out, in and out, in and out. It's going to be hotter than last week.
So how many times?
I don't know. It depends on how much water you've got on there, how much liquid.
Actually, drying, sorry.
You don't want it dry. That's the thing. At the end of this, you've got a wet mount. So just like you did with cheek cells, you basically have a wet, watery mount, and that's what you observe. All right? You observe that. At that point, you can look carefully. At 400x, you should be able to see some of the mother cells and meiotic cells. At 1000x, you'll be able to see the chromosomes for real and tell which stage it is. So you got to use 400x to search, 1000x to really observe. All right? That one, if I cooked it, I'd probably see something. Any questions?
So can I squash it before staining it?
You can. You can squash before or after. You could squash it even before you put the acid on there if you want to. Squash it and then take the cover slip off, then add the acid. If you're doing true cutting and squeezing, obviously no cover slip on there yet, right? There's lots of modifications to this. Cut and squeeze is tough because they're so tiny. But some of the students yesterday were able to do it with a sharp razor blade. And they got pretty good results.
Will it dry out?
Don't dry. You want it wet. The end is almost just like what you see here. It's a wet, red-looking slide.
How many times you say it should be still wet, but it's not dry.
You can tell if it's dry or not. It won't be shiny anymore.
It won't be shiny.
Yeah, the edge of the cover slip should still be shiny. Yeah, but the water that's on the slide itself is probably starting to get dry. And by the way, do be careful to dry the bottom, before you put it on your microscope, all right? So you can see, not hurt the microscope. You'll have to do it more than once, believe me, before you get totally satisfactory results. It's normal, all right? That's part of the fun. Okay, if you want to take a short break before you start this whole thing, it's